Hey everyone, and welcome back to our discussion on chapter 3 of the book Discipleship. This week we're going to be looking at the immensity of God. And when I tend to think of that, it really brings me back to think about David and all that he wrote throughout the Psalms about his understanding of who God is, and how we can learn from that. So let's just jump straight into Psalm 139. I'm going to read from verses 7 through 10, and it says, "Where shall I go from your spirit, or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. And if I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the utmost places of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me." And I think what we see happening in this passage is David is understanding rightly that God is so much more vast and so much more immense than we are, um, that some of these things don't even begin to make sense. There is no place that we can go that we are outside of his control or authority or domain, um, and that God is ultimately the one that is absolutely sovereign. We want to think about God's attributes in a couple of different ways. One of the things that's helpful is kind of break it down into two camps. The first one is that God has communicable attributes, and those are ones that we can share in part with God. So that can be things like love and wisdom and patience. Um, and then there's incommunicable attributes that are qualities that we cannot share with Him. They are completely unique to God. Um, and those are things like His omniscience, His omnipresence, so his ability to know everything, to be everywhere, his eternality, the how he was created before time existed and will continue to exist for all eternity. Um, we can share some things, like I mentioned, with the communicable attributes, but even his communicable attributes are beyond measure. Um, our love is partial, it's conditional. God's love is immeasurable, it's steadfast, and it's eternal. Our patience eventually runs out, and God stretches across generations. Our wisdom is shaped by experience and limits, and God's wisdom is infinite and perfect. So these incommunicable attributes remind us that God is not like us. He is God. While the communicable attributes remind us that he graciously lets us taste his character, but always on a far smaller scale. Together, these two types of attributes should really be fueling our awe and worship of who God is. Um, so, I want to do something a little bit different this evening with your community group. I'm going to spend less time talking, and I want to open up to a little bit more time for discussion for your group. But I want you guys to list out those two camps. So, list out some attributes that are communicable, things that we can share with God, and then things that are incommunicable. And I really want us to focus the discussion on how does this change how we perceive God? How does it change how we worship God? And how does a more full understanding of who God is just change the overall posture of our heart towards Him in general? So I'm going to pass it over to your community group leaders for a little bit more discussion this evening. And I'm praying that this is just a good time of reflection as you guys dive into really studying who God is. Thanks, and we'll see you again next week.